Did you know that sweet potatoes aren't actually potatoes at all? They're part of the morning glory family, making them distant relatives of those beautiful trumpet-shaped flowers you see in gardens. They're full of nutrients, surprisingly adaptable, and if you do it right, you can grow them all year round with very little effort. So if you're ready to ditch the grocery store runs and have a constant supply of delicious and nutritious sweet potatoes, stick around because I'm about to break it all down for you. If you find any value in this content, please consider subscribing to Don't Do This Guide and give us a thumbs up. Alright, let's kick things off by talking about why you should even bother growing sweet potatoes in the first place. First off, sweet potatoes are nutritional powerhouses. We're talking loaded with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. They're an excellent source of vitamin A, which is crucial for good vision, immune function, and cell growth. Plus, they're packed with fiber, which is great for digestion and keeping you feeling full and satisfied. But wait, there's more. Sweet potatoes are incredibly versatile in the kitchen. You can bake them, roast them, mash them, fry them. The possibilities are endless. Now let's talk about ease of growing. Sweet potatoes are surprisingly low maintenance, especially compared to other root vegetables. They're pretty resistant to pests and diseases, and they can tolerate a wide range of growing conditions. Plus, they're pretty forgiving if you forget to water them once in a while. And the best part? You can grow them year-round with a little planning and ingenuity. Imagine having a fresh supply of homegrown sweet potatoes no matter what season it is. Alright, so you're pumped about growing sweet potatoes year-round. First things first, you need to choose the right sweet potato variety for your climate and growing season. Some varieties are better suited for shorter growing seasons, while others thrive in warmer climates. Do some research and find one that will work best for your region. Next up, let's talk about soil. Sweet potatoes love loose, well-drained soil that's rich in organic matter. If your soil is heavy clay or compacted, you'll want to amend it with compost, peat moss, or other organic materials to improve drainage and fertility. Now, climate considerations. Sweet potatoes are warm season crops, meaning they need plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures to thrive. If you live in an area with a shorter growing season, you can get a head start by starting your sweet potatoes indoors a few weeks before the last frost date. Speaking of starting indoors, let's talk about slips. Slips are basically baby sweet potato plants that you grow from a mature sweet potato. You can buy slips online or from your local nursery, or you can even grow your own. Once you've got your soil prepped and your slips ready to go, it's time to think about where you'll be planting. Choose a spot in your garden that gets at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. By taking the time to prepare properly, you'll be well on your way to a bountiful and delicious sweet potato harvest. All right, folks, it's time to get our hands dirty. We've got our soil prepped, our slips are raring to go, so let's get these sweet potatoes in the ground. Now, spacing is key here. You want to give your sweet potatoes plenty of room to spread out and grow those delicious tubers. Aim for about 12 to 18 inches between each plant, and if you're planting in rows, space those rows about 3 to 4 feet apart. When it comes to planting depth, you want to bury those slips about 6 to 8 inches deep. Make sure the leaves are above the soil, and gently pat the soil around the base of the plant. Once your slips are nestled in their new home, it's time to give them a good drink. Water them in thoroughly, making sure the soil is moist but not waterlogged. After you water, apply a layer of mulch around your plants. Alright, let's talk about keeping your sweet potato plants happy and thriving without turning into a full-time gardener. First up, watering. Sweet potatoes are pretty drought tolerant once established, but they still need consistent moisture, especially during the first few weeks after planting. A good rule of thumb is to water deeply once or twice a week depending on your climate and rainfall. Just make sure the soil is moist, but not soggy. Next, let's talk about weeding. Weeds are the enemy of any garden, stealing valuable nutrients and water from your precious plants. But don't worry, keeping those pesky invaders at bay doesn't have to be a back-breaking chore. Remember that mulch we talked about earlier? Well, it's not just for show. A good layer of mulch will help suppress weed growth, saving you time and effort in the long run. Now, let's talk about pests. Sweet potatoes are relatively pest-resistant, but you might encounter a few critters looking for a snack. Keep an eye out for aphids, slugs, and snails, and deal with them promptly if you see any signs of damage. A simple solution of soapy water can often do the trick. By following these minimal effort care tips, you'll be well on your way to a bountiful harvest of delicious and nutritious sweet potatoes. All right, now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Harvesting your very own sweet potatoes. But here's the kicker. We're not just talking about a one-time harvest here. The key to this magic trick is staggered planting. Instead of planting all your sweet potatoes at once, spread them out over several weeks or even months. This way, you'll have a continuous supply of sweet potatoes maturing throughout the year. For those of you in colder climates, don't despair. You can still enjoy a year-round harvest by bringing your sweet potato operation indoors. Just grab a large container, fill it with well-draining potting mix, and plant your slips as you would outdoors. Place your container in a sunny spot, water regularly, and voila! You've got a mini sweet potato farm right in your own home. But even with staggered planting and indoor growing, there are times when you might have more sweet potatoes than you can handle. That's when you've got to get creative in the kitchen. Whip up some sweet potato bread, roast them with cinnamon and maple syrup, or even try your hand at sweet potato gnocchi. Alright, you've mastered the basics of growing sweet potatoes. But now you want to become a sweet potato overlord, right? You want to be the envy of your neighborhood, the king or queen of the sweet potato patch. First up, let's talk about fertilization. Sweet potatoes aren't super needy when it comes to fertilizer, but giving them a little boost can make a world of difference. Look for a fertilizer that's high in potassium and phosphorus, as these nutrients are essential for root development. Next, let's talk about pruning. As your plants grow, they might start to vine out of control. Pinching back the ends of the vines can encourage bushier growth and more tuber production. And speaking of maximizing space, have you ever heard of companion planting? It's like matchmaking for your garden. Certain plants just love to grow together, and sweet potatoes are no exception. Planting them alongside herbs like basil, rosemary, or oregano can help repel pests and improve flavor. Another pro tip, don't be afraid to experiment. Try different varieties, different planting methods, and see what works best in your garden. Alright, let's face it, even the most experienced gardeners encounter a few bumps in the road. But fear not, my friends, because I'm here to arm you with the knowledge to troubleshoot common sweet potato problems like a pro. First up, let's talk about pests. While sweet potatoes are relatively resistant, they're not completely immune to those pesky critters looking for a free meal. Keep an eye out for common culprits like aphids, flea beetles, and wireworms. If you spot any unwanted visitors, a simple solution of soapy water or neem oil can often do the trick. Next, let's address diseases. One of the most common issues sweet potatoes face is fungal diseases, especially in humid environments. To prevent these party poopers, make sure your plants have good air circulation and avoid overhead watering. If you do see signs of disease, remove affected leaves or plants immediately to prevent it from spreading. Now, let's talk about nutrient deficiencies. Sweet potatoes are pretty self-sufficient, but they can sometimes show signs of nutrient deficiencies, especially if they're not getting enough of the good stuff. Yellowing leaves can indicate a nitrogen deficiency, while stunted growth might be a sign of phosphorus or potassium deficiency. A soil test can help you determine exactly what nutrients your soil is lacking so you can amend it accordingly. By being aware of these common issues and knowing how to address them, you'll be well equipped to handle any challenges that come your way. And that brings us to the end of today's episode on Don't Do This Guide. We hope this step-by-step approach has shown you just how easy it is to grow sweet potatoes year-round with minimal effort. If you picked up any valuable tips or found yourself inspired to start your own sweet potato garden, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more DIY and gardening adventures. Thanks for watching, and happy growing. Remember, don't let anyone tell you it's too hard to grow your own food. With sweet potatoes, you've got this.